Hello everyone and welcome to this top 8 game from the European Championships. I'm as always Ben from the Knights of the Blackwater, and today we have Tyrell, or if you watch the White Walkers, Mr. Lion, on the left playing Tyrell, Banner of the Reigns of Castamere, and on the right we have George, who we saw in the last video, playing Targ Fealty again. So we have the initial setups, and we have it looks like Heartsbane on Brienne with a lady-in-waiting marshalled as a character. Can't set them up as a dupe on the initial setup as a marshalling action. Up against Viserion, Drogon, and Quay for the Shadows, and a Rose Road. I need to apologise now for a little bit of the camera. So where we set up for the cut, the table wasn't quite so secure, and let's just say a couple of the characters in the cut were quite vocal with their hands, and the camera's going to bounce a little bit, I'm afraid. I do apologise. Nothing I could really do here, I'm afraid. So we're on to initial plots. You'd say probably George is happy with the initial setup. He's got some econ, he's got a character advantage, and he's got, more importantly, he's got 2 of the dragons to help out Danny, and also be Chikara's threat. That's not to say that Tibbles is a bad setup. You know, Brienne's a very good character. She's probably one of the better 5 costs that isn't just silly bonkers like Tyrion or Nymeria. I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. And see, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of table banging at this point. So we've called the banners into the time of harvest, so summer harvest. Probably actually one of the few times that you're going to get less gold from flipping Summer Harvest. He's only going to get 4 gold for that. I think no, 5 gold, sorry, 5 gold. I think Tib has picked George to go first. 6 gold of the Rose Road. And I know Tyrell does run a slightly unorthodox plot deck. I was chatting about his deck afterwards, and he says he really rates initiative being able to pick. So most of his plots are kind of 5 or above. So we have a Illyria's Estate played. I believe there's a Crown of Gold in hand. So maybe we could see a Crown of Gold here put on Brienne. And then next turn flip into what's it, the Fire and Blood, at which point Brienne and the Lady in Waiting would both die. So that's not a bad way of clearing most of the board. Again, not 100% what they're sure what they're.
You did it, but let's be truthful here. He did show you my plots, but he admitted it. He lied to you my plots. Okay, and there was no interaction. Wait, and you will decide. I know. It's not right. I was just there. I can tell you, I couldn't touch it. How did I get information? I don't think you got information. Okay, let's start from there. Okay. The guy was beside you, the French guy. Sorry. I apologize. You apologize, okay, but you showed him my plots. And he's sitting right next to you.
Right. So I gather George seems to think that someone next to Tibble is giving him information about the plots. And he seems to be a bit upset about this.
Oh, of course, I didn't speak to my...
And Tibble is saying that he didn't speak to anyone Seems pretty genuine about it, but George still seems pretty upset.
It's possible. So, there's one batsman in this game. Okay, why you're telling me this? It's a joke. Okay, you're not liking things. Tell me to crash him, and not because I. And why crash him too? Okay, let's go.
Okay, I think that's sorted.
I played this one.
I think they've just asked the friend to move away. And yes, also guys, why it's a little bit quiet, just to let you know, I've started doing not daily streams at lunchtimes, but every lunchtime I'm either not recovering from a night shift, and I'm able to get the kids down quick, the kid down quick enough for his afternoon nap. I'm doing just doing some streams, little mini streams, about an hour long. So do come along and keep an eye out for those. They've been quite popular so far, and some good fun. Sort of probably about 2 or 3 times a week, depending on my work schedule. And how the kid goes down. So we've had Burger King, Khal Drogo, and Plaza Pride played out from George there. But if you are around, according to Lunchtime Thrones, which if you don't live in Europe is probably either breakfast or dinner or nighttime Thrones. But if you can't catch them, as always with the other streams, just go to the channel afterwards. They'll all be saved on there. So what's Tibble going to get out now with a 6 gold to combat this? Obviously, we've got a lot of military. Ideally, he'd love to somehow get a lord or king out, so that Brienne doesn't kneel to defend from the militaries. Especially as George has no gold left, so there's no Jakara's threat this turn. Obviously, House Card is knelt, and no money. And I'd also like to apologise, I forgot to change the info at the top, so this is not the top at 16, it's the top 8. Hoping I remembered it for the other ones. Probably didn't. Right, Tibble just changing his mind what he's going to do here. He's probably feeling the pressure here. The 2 minutes use from Khal, it's a lot. It's a lot to try and take in the first turn, especially if you haven't got much gold to get the board state out. I've seen he's got new margin there, so sure you do. You put out a character, great, they get killed, and then the other miniature comes in, they get killed, and you're down to new marge. It's a new marge. So we've got the arbor played out. So I think Tibble's kind of going with my board state's going to get wrecked, but not much I can do about it. Got Bodyguard on Brienne. And for the last gold, Milk on Khal. So can stop that initial burst of militaries. Probably still going to lose the Bodyguard. Because you'd imagine he'll take the Bodyguard for claim from the military because of March the Wall is 99% sure that George will running March the Wall.
Sorry? No action. You can see that. Okay. No gold then. No gold.
Do apologise for picking a bit of background noise up. I've had to keep the doors open because it's a bit tasty where I'm recording at the moment. I don't know if you heard, just had a squad of motorbikes go past. So it looks like George went to the military and fought again about it. So military just from Khal Drogo is not going to be enough, obviously, because of Heartsbane. There is no gold to worry about. So George is so Tyrell is defended, asking who's gonna any actions, which he doesn't. So then defends with Heartsbane. It's well to pump the strength. So Brienne strength 8, winning the challenge. Base giving up on the other 2 challenges, but there's not much that can be done about that right now. I think you'd take that, wouldn't you? So power challenge coming in, which is going to go unopposed. The question here is whether you want to do an entry challenge, let the entry challenge go through. Now obviously Tyrell did draw a load of cards, so it might not be the end of the world. He's going to stop the unopposed. Radishet's Raider taking him from claim. Interesting choice to defend that because he couldn't win. Maybe he assumed that George would just discard the least most important card and stand Quaif anyway. And then George wins dominant, so it's currently 2-1. The guy's just checking reserves. Yes, 2 currently 2 on to George. Kind of a slow start there to get into it, but I think things should pick up from here. So Tyrell discarding for reserve, discards a Growing Strong. So you got to think the rest of his hand must be stats, because that's a pretty good card to give up, especially against Targaryen, where a strength boost before going into a challenge could potentially keep you alive, with Jakaris being a real threat. You know those pesky Targ players, they always leave at least 1 gold on their house card, don't they? Just a reminder, I've got a dragon and 1 gold. Are you going to risk it? The old Targaryen mind games. So Fire and Blood into Summer Harvest. So I think this is where we're going to see Crown of Gold. For sure. On Brienne to kill Brienne. So, yeah, the Lady in Waiting is immediately killed. Obviously George, so I think also Tyrell's probably hoping to get a bit more than 4 gold from the plot. So he's only got 6 gold to play with here. Because of the Pleasure Barge. And when George forgetting about Beggar King, but actually he hasn't got a lower printed cost anyway, so he can't actually trigger it even if he wanted to. And here we go, Crown of Gold, all the money, nothing Tyrell can do. Oh, not all the way, leaving 1 gold, sorry. And he now has no board presence, and this is going to be rough. And a bodyguard going on to Khal. That's interesting because you don't tend to see many bodyguards in most of the other Targaryen decks, the Euros. The only attachment tends to be Crown of Gold. It's interesting that George is. Interesting that George is packing them. I know I've always wondered why they don't take them. It's a really good card, especially at the moment. But yeah. So on to Tyrell's marshalling, and he's got 6 gold, and he probably say he's probably hoping for a bit more than that. And this is probably quite bad. Because imagine Tyrell potentially has got some like the reducer in hand, and obviously you can't play it out because they immediately die.
Yeah, okay. I agree. Yes, I already told you so. It was too late. But I thought of it before, but I couldn't, and then I thought, I'm wondering.
I think Tybalt, look, going by Tybalt's body language, I think he's in trouble here. I mean, the perfect setup here would be something along the lines of, if you had a couple more gold, get new Marge out, put Bran out, and kill Bran immediately. And he is passing marshalling. I don't think he felt he could safely get anything out. So he's going to sit there with 6 gold, but the Targaryen onslaught is going to be brutal. So it's unopposed intrigue. Get some nightmares. Unopposed power. Just gets unopposed. There is no claim. And Tibble saying that you wish you had power for him to steal, but yeah. And that is.
But our dominance was not yours.
And George actually taking dominance there, but instead Tybalt's got some power for George to steal. Moment by the looks of it. So I think it's 4-1 in favour of George. Probably the only play here. I don't know. I kind of feel George is not George. I think Tybalt's a bit stuck here. I mean, what do? Do you Valor next turn? But you're gonna have the same issue you just had with trying to play out cards. It kind of feels like a game I had earlier today. As I do the commentary on this, one of the stream games, I was trying out Targaryen, Reigns of Castamere again. I played a start player, and on turn 1, for basically the whole game, I just kept. And he actually had characters out, but the whole game I just kept him under pressure, kept him under pressure, and eventually I wiped his board, and there was no coming back. Didn't trigger Reigns once, I don't think, though, because he had cat out. So Tibble getting rid of a Knight of Flowers, a Little Bird, and I think that's the Heartsbane. And George is fine for reserve as well. So, imagine George probably gonna maybe could play Counting Coppers here. Do you reckon? Drop his hand. Can't think what Tybalt's gonna play. Oh, Famine, even better. Into Fallen from Favour. That's a pretty good choice here. So, Famine, yeah, really good choice on the board. There's this low. And the Fallen from Favour doesn't have to sacrifice anyone because there's no one to sacrifice. So he can get 9 gold, but he's not actually doing that much better off than he was last turn because the +1 to marshalling cost to marshal. And George can get another character out. I think the pressure is going to get too big here. I think Tybalt's body language looks a bit defeated.
Only bad solutions, right?
So Beggar King is knelt to gain 2 gold. I think Tibble said he has to go first. I think he might be right, but at the same time I don't know if going first is really going to save him from the onslaught either way. So 9 gold. He needs like a great haul or something here. And George is reminding him that yeah, it's now +1 to Marshall. Fam, that's again. That's I seem to say a lot on here. That's a plot when it first came out. I didn't really see the point to it. I thought the 2 gold was too low, but that's a plot I've grown to love when used right. That extra +1 to Marshall is massive. So you've got Pleasure Barge. Tibble's just drawing for answers now. It's interesting because probably in a few months we won't be seeing this kind of economy anymore because it looks like the arbor's going to disappear for the Red Wine Straits. So 2 gold has been spent for the Garden Caretaker. George is taking an action to nil the Illyrio's estate. So go and get the Caretaker's knelt. And we have to pack some red wine. Not Sir Pax red wine. Lord Red Wine. Put out Pax red wine. And is there anything to spend the last 3 gold on? Because at the moment, both those characters are going to die. Then you get Bodyguard. So it's going to leave him just Red Wine, who will then immediately get marched, probably. Don't sound bleak, but he is in trouble here.
Went back to my hand when you killed Brienne. Okay, because you found Brienne.
George was seeing the bodyguard went, from Brienne, where that went. Because for some reason he thought she'd been in the discard pile. But obviously, if you don't use the bodyguard, it's not terminal. You can choose not to use it, and it just comes back to hand like any attachment that's not terminal. And I think Tibble's done, and he's looking pretty desolate at this point. I hate to keep saying it, but my god, he does look pretty down.
Do you think I could nightmares your economy location? It's a habit from 1.0. Okay. Because when there's Greyjoy,
Tibble's actually just saying he's quite surprised that he knelt the location, and George is saying this is just a habit he's got into from playing first edition. So obviously, in all fairness, unless Tibble's saying if it worried us on nightmares it, and he went no, it's just a habit, and yeah, in all fairness, if you're playing Greyjoy, it's probably not that important. But yeah, I have been known for people to nightmares economy. So Fealty's knelt. So this looks like a Slaver's Bay. It was George asking how many people are dead. So Fealty is now. Lyra's estate is ready now, so if this is Slaver's Bait, coming out for free. Or for no gold cost anyway, and then be nailed to gain a gold. Oh no, I was to lie, it's Daenerys Targaryen. Yes, because there was 4 gold, 5 gold, 2 gold from the plot, 1 gold from the Rose Road, 2 gold from Beggar King, Fealty, and a reduction. Yep, that does add up. There is no gold though for Jacaerys. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to matter. She has stealth and renowned, so that will help with the rush to win the game. Tybalt very kindly got a power last turn, so that should be 1, 2, 3 unopposed challenges, 1 for claim, 4 1 for 5 for renowned. That put George on, probably wins dominance as well. Probably put George about 10. Should be. By the end of this turn, bring him into closing distance. And don't forget, guys, you can go into the White Walkers channel and watch other games from the European Championships. As I post this, they should be posting their top 8 game as well. And they have 2 other games featuring Tybalt, so you can see his deck working a little bit better than this. I think they have his game from the top 16 and one of the other games from the Cup. Yes, they do have his top 16 games because he played on his fellow metamates from France. And a shout out to Tybalt. I know he does watch the channel. And thanks to everyone who does watch. Your support means a lot. It's nice to know people get enjoyment from these videos. So George here fully defends the intrigue. Seems to defend it for a lot, which is interesting. It does seem like it. Does seem like a bit of an over defense. I guess he could be worried about a double growing strong. I guess. So Danny gets renowned, and we get an insight draw. Assume we're going to have a card discarded to stand Danny in a minute. We have a military coming in for 4, which is unopposed. Claim a 2. So the bodyguard saves. Saves Pax, and the garden caretaker is killed. Yeah, 1 power for claim, 1 power for the unopposed. And Quay for the Shadow is going to be stood. Okay, maybe probably didn't have a big enough card to stand Danny. For the intrigue, which is unopposed. Claim 2. There's the Marge she's had for the entire game, and a Courtesan of the Rose. And that leaves Khal Drogo standing to gain renowned. And you assume here we're going to get a march to the wall for George. I think Tybalt probably. Yeah. I'd say you have to Valor, but just it's going to leave you free gold. There's no way getting a board presence out. And the Slaver's Bay discarded. That tells you how much George has got a foothold in this game, that he didn't feel the need to actually play the Slaver's Bay. And the Dragon is no slave discarded, which is a very common one because, well, let's face it, you just get it back from the discard pile. The card is bonkers good. To assume this is March from George.
No, you have 20 minutes left. 20 minutes.
We have Confiscation into March the Wool. So, what's Tibor assumes going to confiscate the bodyguard? Crave for the Shadows is March the Wool, as is Pax. So, Tibor quickly wants to remind himself of the what the ambush does in case there's another one in hand, and he's going to Tibor's going to confiscate the bodyguard. George does go to play Beggar King, but can't because pot's gold has to be lower. And George has chosen to go first, so he's got 5 gold. Fealty, Lyria's estate. This is looking like all she wrote. So we have another Lyria's estate played out. Both of them are going to be knelt. To put Rhaegar out. So now we have all 3 dragons. So Danny's going to be doing at least 2 challenges this turn. Rhaegar gets a dupe. And Tibor's got 5 gold. Oh, and we have Brain's gonna dead his name for a second. It's only a core card, Davey. Come on. And Plaza of Pride. Oh no, Plaza of Pride, Plaza of Punishment. Sejura. So you got Sejura, a Plaza of Punishment. Yeah, go and get a board stay out that can last more than 5 seconds. Pleasure bar, should draw another 3 because you know he needs money. You're saying Tibor's saying 5 gold, a handful of cards, and nothing that I can play out nothing you can play out really to slow this Juggernaut down now. That's the thing with these high aggro decks, especially Targ. Once they've got the foot on your throat, it's so hard to get it off. So Great Hall and all his money for New Marge with a dupe, who does absolutely nothing. Well, her doesn't do absolutely nothing, but her ability is nothing because there's no king, so there's no lord to kill. And the issue you got here as well is that currently Danny has stealth. So you're going to have an intrigue stealth, power stealth, that'll be 4 power, and then military Sejura for to make another 2, and that's game. I think they're just doing the maths on it. So I think this is the intrigue. Yeah, this will be the intrigue. There's almost even got nightmares. He's still got Plaza of Pride to potentially stand her again. So we get the betrayal token on Sejura, which I think is actually just using the renowned. Unopposed renown, unopposed power, and renowned. George needs 1 more power to win the game, so probably he'll have an unopposed military now. Oh, he's going to do the unopposed power. And that is game. So thanks very much for watching, guys. It has been emotional. And please do come back next time for the quarterfinal game, which is, sorry, not quarterfinal, the semi-final game, which I promise you is a cracker. As always, it's been emotional.